Hello, my name's Matt, this is Pixel Burn, where I take a look at some of the more important, interesting or irritating things that happened in gaming news this week, hopefully without having any traumatising flashbacks to my childhood, growing up in the shadow of the Cold War.
If anyone dies while you are kept in your fallout room, move the body to another room in the house.
An appropriate segue from that apocalyptic vision was the news that The Walking Dead Season 2 Episode 2 has both a release date and a trailer, a mostly spoiler-free trailer at that, mercifully for people like me who still haven't played Episode 1 yet. The trailer is mostly scenes of Clementine being quietly awesome, other characters I don't know being not so awesome, and one character being ever so slightly creepy. Hopefully I'll have actually played Episode 1 by the time Episode 2 is released on March the 4th. On a related note, the Stark Life or Death decision simulator Gods Will Be Watching, created as an entry for the 26th Ludum Dare Game Jam, has a shiny new trailer for its big bold remake. Described by its developers Deconstruct team as a point-and-click thriller, the remake features 6 chapters of narrative puzzles and moral dilemmas, in scenarios ranging from tense hostage situations to brutal physical interrogations involving scary men with hammers, which pretty much sums up a typical day at work for me. You can play the original Ludum Dare prototype at godswillbewatching.com, all one word. Alternatively, you can watch me bumble through it on my own playthrough on this very channel. Don't forget to like, rate, share and subscribe. In other news, Dota 2 is getting Fantasy League support in its next update for the people who like that sort of thing. I can never get my head around any of that fantasy sports malarkey myself. It always looked a bit too complicated and nerdy. And I say that as someone who's played Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. All you need to take part in Fantasy League Dota is to buy a ticket from the Dota 2 store for the Asus ROG Dream League Season 1 tournament. Once you've done that, you can start playing Dota 2 without actually playing Dota 2 yourself in a sort of meta Dota 2, where you win entirely due to other much better Dota 2 players playing Dota 2 instead of you, or something like that. Surprisingly, there's not even a single digital trinket to be gained from participating in Fantasy Dota 2. No items, outfits, couriers, or even Team Fortress 2 hats. Just bragging rights and bugger all else. Oh, and the update will also fix Bane's gammy front legs apparently. If anything Dota 2 or MOBA related has you wondering what all the fuss is about, then you might want to check out Free to Play, Valve's upcoming documentary following 3 of the most well-known pro Dota 2 players on their personal journeys to compete for a $1 million prize in the first Dota 2 international tournament. The film will be released online on March 19th and available on both the Dota 2 in-game store and on Steam, where it will, rather appropriately, be free to watch. Elsewhere on the internet, Minecraft creator Marcus Notch Persson confirmed Mojang is working with Warner Brothers on a live-action Minecraft movie, which explains why the Kickstarter for Birth of Man, a feature-length Minecraft fan movie from Rocket Jump creator Brandon Latch, had suddenly been cancelled and the trailer taken down. But anyhow, a big-budget Hollywood Minecraft movie. Cue a whole new generation of kids growing up with magic feather syndrome, thinking they can just punch trees down willy-nilly and build sheds in the middle of the road if they just believe in themselves enough. And not because they've spent long years learning actual carpentry skills and applying for planning permission, like you have to do in the real world. The chap tipped to produce Minecraft the Movie Edition, as Notch wants to call it, is Roy Lee, producer of the recent Lego Movie. So it might well not be a horribly schmaltzy sort of affair so saccharine it puts half the audience into diabetic comas, assuming it even actually gets made, which is never a guarantee in the glitzy two-faced world of Hollywood. If it does, then it'll no doubt have a standard Hollywood ending in which Steve lives happily ever after, riding a pig around his cobblestone hut. It certainly won't have the only proper ending to a Minecraft movie in which a creeper suddenly appears and destroys everything, to remind children the universe is an indifferent godless void where all things slide inevitably towards entropy and death. This week, Eidos Montreal's dark and gothy looking reimagining of Thief was released, and for some completely unknown reason I bought myself a copy, despite it seeming like a complete and utter betrayal of everything I loved about the classic Thief trilogy. In the run-up to its release, I heard with increasing dismay rumours that new Thief had no Hammerites, no pagans, no using rope arrows except on certain parts of the environment where the designers allow you to, no jumping except on certain parts of the environment where the designers allow you to, no Stephen Russell doing the voice of Garrett.
I've always equated feelings with getting caught. They both get in the way of my money.
Or any other voices for that matter.
Hey! No need to get all heated about it.
No stacking boxes and other physics items to climb up to ludicrous heights or for shits and giggles. No vast open levels that give you the freedom to chart your own path through them. No use whatsoever of the word Taffer anymore.
Shut up, you Taffer.
And depressingly, little to none of the original trilogy's humour.
You got got you for this time, you camel-man and tunic-wearing mollycoddle!
It looks nice though. Fortunately, I was able to get New Thief for only £15, a whopping 50% off its full retail price, and that's with the exclusive pre-order bank heist bonus mission as well. In fact, you could say it was a steal. And a good thing too, since reviews of it haven't been entirely positive, giving it a current rating of 69 on Metacritic. Not that you should ever rely only on Metacritic for your purchasing decisions. If you do, then you're a bit of a div really. Now, I'm not here to debate New Thief's merits or lack thereof. I'm saving that for a Let's Play commentary where I'll no doubt compare it to Dishonored every 2 minutes, as I love Dishonored. Instead, I am going to focus on an interesting question that arose amidst all the online scuffle surrounding it. Namely, should such reboots be judged in the context of their predecessors, or entirely on their own merits? New Thief appears to have caused a bit of a schism amongst self-proclaimed Thief fans, with the loyal old guard decrying it as a treasonous cash-in. On the other side of the divide, determined apologists fight for its right to the Thief name, yet at the same time insisting it be judged as a standalone entity since it's technically a reboot. A reboot set in the same city, starring the same protagonist, yet heavily implies it's set after the previous 3 and at one point even name drops the villain from the first game. In fact, when it was first announced back in 2009, it even had the working title of Thi4, which would suggest to any reasonable person that it's an official sequel, right? There was similar confusion about the most recent Devil May Cry game from Ninja Theory, called simply by its abbreviation DMC. While officially a reboot of the franchise starring a younger, more sweary Dante, without the stupid white hair, it was also promoted as being an origin story for the white-haired, swaggering, cock-faced Dante of previous Devil May Cry games. XCOM Enemy Unknown, on the other hand, was marketed as a remake of the original XCOM UFO Defense. It shares the same name, many of the same aliens and technologies, utilises turn-based mechanics, and is all about saving the world, yet is also clearly its own thing, and all but the most nitpicky of XCOM fans loved it, myself included. Meanwhile, Deus Ex Human Revolution was clearly advertised as a chronological prequel to the original Deus Ex. It staked a claim on the same universe and supported that claim with its own internal lore and mechanics, maintaining a narrative consistency with the game that came before it. It was also quite good, which is more than can be said for Deus Ex Invisible War. So how did Firaxis and Eidos Montreal successfully reinterpret XCOM and Deus Ex, while Ninja Theory and Eidos Montreal stumble with Devil May Cry and New Thief? Deus Ex Human Revolution had many connections to the original Deus Ex, but didn't rely on any single one of them to tell its story. It wasn't about JC Denton or Helios, it was about Adam Jensen, fighting a conspiracy in a golden renaissance of technology long before the plague-riddled totalitarian dark age of the original Deus Ex.
Oh my god, Daddy!
What a shame.
Similarly, XCOM had many links to its predecessors narratively and mechanically, yet was confident enough to go its own way in some key areas. Both games have their own strong identities and a firm idea of what sort of game they want it to be. DMC, on the other hand, tried to have the best of both worlds, pushing itself as a reboot while insisting it was also an origin story for the same protagonist of the previous games. It also promoted its combat system as simple enough for beginners to grasp, yet deep enough to satisfy Devil May Cry veterans, which didn't appear to be the case. New Thief, meanwhile, doesn't seem to know what it wanted to be, torn between the illustrious history of its name and the demands of modern gaming expectations. I'll pass final judgment once I actually play it, although I'd be a lot less sceptical going in if it had a different name, like Night Dude for example, or Shadow Bloke. It often feels like the games industry and its audience are caught in an awkward catch-22. The industry side seems almost ashamed of its past and eager to embrace a more mature future, yet is shockingly risk-averse at times and happy to scrape its back catalogue to make a quick buck. Similarly, gamers wax nostalgic about the good old days and shriek like banshees at the very mere mention of change, and yet also say they're sick of the same old franchises and want something new. Of the handful of games I've mentioned here, the successful ones have been those that give their forebears the respect they deserve while still moving forward in their own direction. Such as Dishonored, for example, which takes the design philosophy of Thief's original creators, Looking Glass Software, and integrates them within the framework of modern game design, which probably explains why, despite some flaws in its stealth mechanics, it is in my view currently the most faithful spiritual successor to the original Thief trilogy. That's my tuppence worth on the subject, but I do also want to hear what you think, believe it or not. So feel free to leave your thoughts on this topic in the comments section below. I can't promise to agree with your comments, but I will answer each and every one I receive. That's all for this episode of Pixel Burn. If you enjoyed it, please do let me know. At the very least, I hope you found it tolerable. And if you didn't enjoy it, well, I don't care, because I've got an awesome cat. Isn't that right? Yes, you did. Yes, you did.